Okay, be honest with me. Have you ever read a romance book, closed it, and thought, well, now my real life relationship feels kind of flat? Like you've just spent 350 pages with a grumpy but secretly soft man who always knows the right thing to say, and then you look at your phone and your boyfriend just texted, okay. Hi, I'm Tanya. Welcome back to my channel where we talk about books, lifestyle, and the little things that make life feel intentional and inspiring. So today I want to have a real conversation. Do romance books give us unrealistic expectations about love? Do they mess with how we see relationships, or do they actually make us better at spotting what we want and what we deserve? Because honestly, I don't think it's black and white. Some romance books are pure fantasy. Billionaire men, love triangles, dramatic grand gestures, but others are so raw and real, they feel like therapy in paperback form. And I think the answer to that question lives somewhere in that tension. So grab a coffee or tea because we're gonna have a brutally honest conversation. Let's start with the obvious. Books are designed to make us feel something. They want us to get butterflies, stay up until 3 a.m. flipping through pages, and root for fictional couples as if they're real. And part of how authors do this is by exaggerating things, turning the volume all the way up on passion, tension, and drama. Think about it. How many books have you read that have a man by the age of 28 be a billionaire owning an entire company? Or he's secretly incredible in bed, emotionally intelligent, and has abs. Like, where are all these men in real life? Nowhere. They don't exist, and that's the point. It's escapism. But here's the problem. When you consume too much of that fantasy without having a balance, your brain can start to think, well, if he's not texting me good morning every day, if he's not chasing me through the entire airport, maybe he doesn't love me enough. And that's dangerous because real love doesn't look like a dramatic third act confession scene. Real love is smaller. It's about doing the dishes without being asked, remembering your coffee order, and being boring together but still feeling safe. But that doesn't make for a juicy plot. That's why we don't see it in books. And when we don't see it, sometimes we forget how important it is. Okay, let's talk about what happens when those bookish expectations hit reality. There's actually research on this. Studies show that consuming too much of this idealized romance media, whether it's novels, movies, or TV shows, can shape how we see love. Some people start holding their partners to higher standards. They want constant passion, constant adventure, constant fireworks. Like, have you ever finished a book and then immediately thought, damn, my life is so quiet? Where is my dramatic banter in a lab? Or my spontaneous best friends to lovers European vacation? If you've ever experienced this, then this is where you have to remind yourself. Books enhance emotions for entertainment. They condense months and sometimes even years into 300 pages. They cut out the boring stuff that you can't do in real life. If an author actually wrote a book about two people making pasta, arguing over a thermostat, paying bills, and going to bed at 10 p.m., we wouldn't call it a romance novel. We would call it a Tuesday night. So yes, books can raise expectations. But maybe the real issue is not in the book, but in the fact that we compare our life to it, just like we compare our life to other people's highlighted reel on Instagram. Now here's the interesting part. If we know it's fake, why do we love it so much? I think these books give us what we're craving. They fill in the gaps of what might be missing in real life. If you want adventure, you pick up the road trip romance. If you're missing intimacy, you find it in the slow burn tension between the characters where they only kiss at page 300, but you feel everything. And honestly, there's nothing wrong with that. We don't read thrillers because we want to get chased by a serial killer. We don't read fantasy because we actually think we're gonna receive a Hogwarts letter. So why do we beat ourselves for choosing to enjoy a romance novel that's bigger than life? The only time it becomes an issue is when we stop seeing it as fiction. When we expect our partners or our future partners to act like a character who's been created by an author who had 6 months to craft the perfect dialogue. That's when disappointment creeps in. Because in real life, people stumble over their words, they miscommunicate, they forget anniversaries, and sometimes they're not poetic, they're awkward. But that awkwardness doesn't make their love less real, it just makes it human. Now let's flip it, because not all romance books are setting us up for disappointment. Some actually help us by raising the bar in healthy ways. Take After I Do by Taylor Jenkins Reid. If you haven't seen my full review with spoilers, I'm gonna pop it somewhere on the screen and make sure to check it out. That book doesn't romanticize love at all. It strips it down to the hard parts: silence, distance, and the daily grind of marriage. And reading it made me realize that love isn't just one dramatic gesture. It's a million tiny choices to keep showing up every single day. Or think about all the modern romances that emphasize therapy, boundaries, and communication. Those books teach us that it's okay to ask for emotional safety. They normalize saying, "I need space," or "that hurt me," which many people struggle with in real life. So these books don't just inflate our standards with dramatic fantasies. Sometimes they actually push us towards healthier ones. For me, romance books have definitely messed up with my head sometimes. Like, I've read characters with the most perfect banter and thought to myself, wow, my conversations are very dry compared to this. Or I've read about men who plan elaborate dates and thought to myself, why are we having dinner at McDonald's? Why is every evening not a special date? But then I catch myself because those characters were literally designed to be perfect. My real life relationship isn't scripted and it shouldn't be. So do romance books give us unrealistic expectations? Yes. But they also remind us of the magic love can have. And maybe that's the balance. Enjoy fantasy, but don't punish reality for not measuring up to it. So now I want to hear from you. Do these books inspire you, or do they raise your standards? Are you still waiting for your airport chasing scene, or are you fine with someone who just shows up and loves you the way you are? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because if you're a reader, I know we've all felt this in one way or another. So let's start a conversation. If you've enjoyed this video or it helped you, give it a like and subscribe. It really helps the channel grow and expand our little community. And let me know what topics you want me to cover next. Maybe, do we romanticize toxic relationships in books? Because that's a conversation on its own. Anyways, thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon.